Originally, the Russians were supposed to get the contract for this entire thing. Because they were the only single source supplier that can supply. It was like 30 different types of munitions, everything from like 9mm pistol ammo all the way up to like tank rounds and mortars and anti-aircraft rockets. It was like 30 different types. So the Russians were a single source supplier that can supply the whole thing. The United States, the Army, originally asked them to supply the whole thing, which they were more than happy to do. But then they supplied some nuclear technology to Iran and got placed on the blacklist by the State Department for doing that. So then it was illegal for the Army to buy that ammunition from the Russians. And so they canceled their contract with the Russians and put it out for open bid. And that's how we won that contract. And so we know that the Russians were furious. In fact, I met at one of the trade shows, I met one of the top guys in Rosaboron, which is the Russian state-owned export company. And he gave me an earful about how it's not, completely not fair that they canceled this contract and, that they didn't do anything wrong and blah, 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 and so they were furious that they missed out on this contract. So it's not much of a stretch to think that the Russians were interfering with our ability to deliver. So we realized, well, crap, like we're at the mercy of geopolitics here. And so the way we ended up solving this flyover permit problem was we hired the Turkmeni National Airline to do the delivery. And as soon as we offered them the contract, and they were surprisingly competitive, actually. And as soon as we offered them the contract, the next day the flyover permit was granted. So as long as the money was in it for them, they were willing to ignore the Russians, I guess.